Welcome back, guys. We are back, episode 2 of the podcast. This one ain't going to be really about a particular wrestler. It's going to be a bunch of topics going around the wrestling world, rumors, news, opinions. So let's get her started. So we're going to start off by giving our top 5 wrestlers of 2022. It's about to be the new year. A lot of big names, a lot of good years from men and women around every wrestling company. So QJ, starting off with you, who'd you put at number 5 on your top 5 wrestlers of 2022?
Top wrestlers I put as number five is I'm gonna have to give it to Roman Reigns. I mean, like I said, he's just untouchable. I mean, got this man holding both titles. Still haven't let him got rid of one yet. I just don't see him being, like I said, being beaten no time soon. I just feel he needs to be in that category as the top wrestler. And I don't know. That's why I put him at top five.
Yeah, can't really argue with Reigns being in the top 5. I mean, he's pretty much had another dominant year. So yeah, that's a pretty good one for your fifth tiers. How about you? Who's your number 5?
I will say I couldn't put Roman Reigns in there because it's not really that different from last year or the year after that. So I'm gonna give it to somebody who did something very different that we were not expecting this year, and I'm gonna give it to Liv Morgan. Was it a short-lived title reign? Yeah, but at the same time, you gotta think where were you really expecting her career to be in WWE? And if it wasn't for that title reign, it would be like she wouldn't be on this list. However, she won the title, and not only that, but got the endorsement from Ronda Rousey to make sure she won the title. To me, that's a really big deal for somebody's career.
Yeah, it's a good endorsement to have someone like Ronda really say,
Definitely agree.
nah, it, I mean, it's a good endorsement. I mean, kind of wish they would have had Liv have a little bit of a longer reign. I feel like they kind of did her dirty by having
Hmm.
her just lose to Ronda. I mean, she hasn't really done nothing of relevancy since, but hopefully Triple H changes that. But yeah, Liv, one of my favorites. She definitely had a pretty good year when I missed Money in the Bank and cashing in. For my number 5, I'm putting Bobby Lashley. I feel like Bobby Lashley really is one of the not really underrated, but a guy you don't really hear mentioning that top tier names as much as some of the others, or as much as he should. I mean, he's 47 years old, and he don't look it or perform like it. I mean, he had a bunch of great matches for the U.S. title. Him and Rollins, him in Theory was pretty good. Him and Ali was pretty good lately. He's had a lot of good matches this year. I feel like Lashley really got over, and surprisingly, he's gotten pretty good on the mic. Not great, but pretty good as a babyface on the mic. He's gotten over with the fans, and he's really had a good year. So that's our 5. So QJ, who'd you put number 4 on your list?
But my top wrestler for number four, I have to go with Will Ospreay. He just, I mean, when you see him in the ring, he's just like a walking highlight reel. Kind of reminds me of, like I said, Ricochet. This man can do everything in the ring. It's unbelievable. Won his last two champions. He wrestled all over the world. He's really dominant in New Japan, and I don't know. I feel like every time I watch a match with him, I'm never really disappointed. Like because you know it's going to live up to the hype. That's just the type of person he is in that ring, and that's honestly what I look for: good quality matches.
Yeah, Will Ospreay's definitely one of the best out there right now. Can't wait to see him in Omega. That's going to be potentially a match of the year candidate. Will Ospreay's definitely one of the best. So, Tears, what about you? Who'd you put number 4?
So mine could potentially cause some issues. However, I, in my belief, that this is somewhat recent record breaking, but I'm gonna have to give it to Moxley because I can't imagine anybody else who managed to become a two-time AEW champion right now. And not only that, but he's still proving yeah, he can still be a great holder of the title and good in-ring work with when the stipulation needs it to be. And plus as a person who just got okay, we need a new world champion, he managed to prove that off.
Yeah, Moxley had a pretty good run. I mean, he's definitely a company guy. Gotta have a lot of respect for him because he was supposed to go on like a long vacation, and the controversy with Punk happened, and then they needed him to win the world title because it was supposed to be MJF beating Punk for the title, and they needed Moxley, so he's had a pretty good year. Definitely a company guy. For my number four, I put another AEW, a guy who's associated with John Moxley and who had one of the best matches of the year with John Moxley, Bryan Danielson. Came to AEW. He felt like WWE limited him a little bit, which they definitely did. Not that his matches in WWE weren't great, but you could definitely see he has a lot more leeway in AEW to have great matches. Him and Omega, him and Hangman, him and Minoru Suzuki was fantastic. He's had just great matches so far this year. And I think Bryan Danielson, even though he's not been as hot as he was earlier in the year, he still has had a fantastic year. So that's my number four is Bryan Danielson. So QJ, who's your number three?
My top three wrestler, I'm gonna have to go with Daniel Bryan. Definitely had a good year. Um, like I'm not saying WWE he wasn't good over there. He had some pretty good matches. Cena, he had a couple of matches. Um, Reigns, it was okay, but I don't know. I feel like as soon as he went to AEW, you just saw. I feel like you saw more of an all-out Daniel Bryan. Him and Omega, dream match. The time limit expired. That's it. Like there wasn't even no winner. 30 minutes, and then you got him and Hangman Page put on another banger, 60-minute classic, no winner. Like just unbelievable. I mean, that guy works his ass off, and I feel he gives 100% every match, and I felt he had a good year, so he deserves to be on the top.
Oh, absolutely. He's definitely one of the best workers in the world, especially technically. He can really work with anybody. And it's good to see him finally get some freedom to do what he wants to do in the ring. So, Tears, who's your number three?
Well, for those who listened to episode one, I shouldn't really need to go in too much in detail about this, but pretty much the guy who's saving the Bloodline storyline for me and probably most other people, and I'm gonna have to go with Sami Zayn. Dude, like just reinvigorated a lot of things for a lot of fans, and even himself to the point where like he is, without a doubt, the most entertaining thing. I was about to say the most popular, but I think that's kind of subjective. I'll just say the most entertaining thing going on in WWE right now.
Yeah, definitely agree. Sami Zayn, before, not that he wasn't relevant last year, but I mean, he was IC champion, but Vince just didn't really treat them titles like they meant anything. I mean, every time someone held the IC title, it wasn't really important. Not that Zayn wasn't bad with his conspiracy theory gimmick, but the Bloodlines really elevated him to that possibly main event level, and I could see him probably being, if it goes as planned, a Daniel Bryan type babyface for WWE, like a very over, possibly the top babyface in the company. So that's definitely a good number three. For me, I put Seth Rollins. I feel like he's WWE's Iron Man this year. He's put on great matches every week. I know he's probably hurting because he goes probably 15 to 20 minutes every week. Pay-per-views, his matches are always great. Enjoyed him and Cody's feud, even though I think Cody shouldn't have lost to him, but still fantastic matches. Rollins never disappoints. Him and Drew, in my opinion, are WWE's Iron Mans. They're always working. They're always putting on good matches, and they really help elevate guys. I feel like Rollins has helped elevate Theory this year as well. And most guys like him wouldn't have probably wanted to lose the title so quickly to Theory, but he realizes Theory is the future of the company. So he's like, you know what, I'm going to go put on a show with this guy, help elevate him. And he did. So Rollins definitely had a hell of a 2022. So QJ, who's your number two?
So for my second top wrestler pick, I'm gonna have to go with Bianca Belair. She had a great one career. I, I feel like she's been on that top level ever since when she beat Sasha Banks. Just her moment kind of career kind of went up the roof. She's beating Becky, uh, Bailey, and I don't know. I feel and she's a fighting champion. She's willing to fight whenever, anytime. I feel like she gives I would say 100% in the ring, and I feel she needs to keep that reign going, face Charlotte, and hopefully, cross my fingers, hopefully she will beat her.
Yeah, I can't disagree with Belair. She's definitely, in my opinion, WWE's best women right now. The run she's been on, and her and Charlotte should be a dream match. Charlotte has been teasing a lot lately that she will be back. So to me, if I'm WWE, I set up Belair and Rhea or Belair and Charlotte at Mania. And either way, you can't go wrong with that. So Tears, who's your number two on this list?
So I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this one, but I just need you to hear me out. For this is about this year, right? How they worked this year compared to other years, right?
Yep.
Okay, oh boy, I'm gonna get hate, but I'm gonna have to give it to Brock Lesnar. Uh,
That's an
yeah,
interesting one. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's a very interesting one.
my reason was if you think about it, he has finally like gotten comfortable with being himself rather than a beast character, and to me, whenever Brock Lesnar was on the screen, that managed to be the most fun I've ever seen out of just not just a person like being in WWE, but as a product. Like everything that Brock Lesnar was doing, like Cowboy Brock Lesnar, Viking looking Brock Lesnar, it was just fun. That's what I need to be when I'm watching your product. I need to have fun, and that's exactly what he gave me.
I agree with that. I think Brock definitely, like you said, has got more comfortable in his role. I definitely see him expressing himself more. He don't really, not that he's great on the mic, but I feel like him and Lashley both have kind of gotten more comfortable on the mic. And, with Triple H in charge now, Brock's even going to get more ways to be himself. He's not, because Triple H hasn't been writing scripts for people to read. He's kind of giving them more leeway in promos. So Brock's definitely going to be more entertaining, even more, because he's probably going to bring more of himself into it. So yeah, I definitely.
I'm actually looking forward to that now.
Yeah, it's going to be something else. So for my number two, I went up Will Ospreay. He's been having a huge year. He battled a little bit of an injury in the beginning of the year, but when he's healthy this year, he's been putting on great matches. In New Japan, he was in AEW for a while. Him and Orange Cassidy had a hell of a match. That was really fun to watch. And he's just one of the best in the world. I mean, I know some fans don't like him because they think, oh, he just does flips and all that, but that's just what wrestling is today. There's a lot of guys who do that, but differences between him and a guy like, not to hate on him or nothing, but like Cedric Alexander is Cedric. We don't know if he can wrestle a lot of different styles. With guys like Ospreay and Ricochet, they can wrestle a lot of different styles. So it's good to see that. So QJ, who'd you put number one on your top five of 2022 list?
All right, so my top one, gotta go with Alexander. TNA. He's had a great career. Championship run been incredible. He has been putting on classes matches every pay-per-view. That match he had against UJP, 60 minutes. They went over that. It's incredible. I feel like that really put him at the top of the level. And his success was just incredible from there. Can never get tired of him, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely. That's my number one as well, Josh Alexander. I wish he was on a main stage so people could see how good he really is, because I feel like with Impact, it's not as popular as it used to be. A lot of fans just hate on Impact or don't really want to watch Impact. But if you guys get the chance, go watch a Josh Alexander match. The guy, he's like this generation's Kurt Angle to me. Him and Kurt have such similar styles in the way they work, and they make everybody look great, and they have great matches. And Josh Alexander is definitely one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world. Hopefully, he gets more recognition eventually. But yeah, he's definitely one of the best workers out there. So, Tears, you heard our number ones. Who'd you go with?
I went with a guy who everybody knew he was gonna be here, but it's the fact that he managed to this year. And I'm gonna have to give it to MJF because like he finally reached where he wanted to, where everybody wanted him to be. He did become the AEW World Champion recently. He's always great on the mic. Every promo he gave, you always feel like, is he being serious? I'm not sure about that. And I like that, man. I like that kind of promo work to where like you feel like he's being genuine. If how to describe it? Everything that he was doing, it felt important, even when he wasn't a part of the main storyline this year. And I feel like if you're that kind of guy to where like everything you're doing is the most important thing of this year, yeah, you got to be number one.
Yeah, MJF has had a really, really, really good year. He's definitely one of the bright young stars of the business. I think, not everybody might like might not like his tactics of, how he goes about himself or whatever. But man, he's probably, if not for Roman Reigns, the top heel in the business right now. I mean, he's fantastic. I mean, he's one of the main reasons I watch AEW here and there is because of him. I mean, I think he's just fantastic on the mic. He's had good matches. So speaking of MJF, if you guys hear him talk, he's always talking about 2024. He's going to be a free agent. And it's going to be the bidding war of 2024. WWE and AEW are going to open up the pocketbooks for Maxwell Jacob Freeman. He's going to be 27, 28 in the prime of his career. By the time he's a free agent, WWE, Triple H, I feel like he'd push MJF to the moon. Tony Khan's been pushing him to the moon. So, Tears, I'm going to start with you. What do you think MJF's going to end up doing when his contract expires? Is he WWE bound, or is he going to stay with AEW long term?
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like the amount of times he mentions it, it's probably the most creative long-term work we've ever heard. I think he's gonna stay in AEW. I feel like he keeps mentioning it just to bring that up to where like he's gonna be like, oh my god, is he gonna turn ship? Is he gonna leave with the title? And I'm just like, this dude's staying in AEW. I know there's been a lot of times where like there's a lot of controversy, like oh he's been getting agitated and all that, but I feel like every every single time he's brought up, it's always like this is like potentially career ending for him in AEW. I'm just like that's a word I feel like at this point. So I'm gonna have to say he's staying in AEW because there's just too much. I think he's a loyal guy at least to the show. He ain't gonna jump shit to WWE right now or even in 2024.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it. I know MJF's really into his character. So a lot of the stuff you don't know whether to believe it or not believe it. I think there's a lot of truth to what he's saying. I think it's honestly whatever company offers him the most money, he's going to go to. I mean, I just think that's his mindset. He just, he wants to see them just. He's like a star athlete. He was a free agent. Teams are just going to keep saying, here's more money. Okay, are you going to top this? Yes, I am. Here's more money. Are you going to top this? Yes, I am. Here's more money. That's what WWE and AEW is going to do. They're just going to keep offering him and promising him all these things because he's one of the top heels in the business. So I think he's smart for the way he goes about it because both companies are going to really want him, and it's really going to open up his pocketbook. So, QJ, what do you think MJF's going to do in January of 2024?
I don't know. It could go either way. I mean, MJF, like you said, he's all. I don't know. He's seen with the money. It's like the more money. I don't know. I guess that's what he thinking about. The more better. But I don't know. I mean, I like this work in AEW. I mean, personally, I think he should stay there. But I don't know. It's like when you see someone mindset like about money, then he's probably gonna jump ship if goes WWE. Who knows? But I feel he'll probably just jump ship. Whoever offers him more, but I feel he'll probably just jump ship, go to WWE, just go from there.
Yeah, like I said, I can see it going either way. So I'm gonna ask y'all this: let's say he did go to WWE, where do y'all see his ceiling? Tears, I'll start with you. Where do you see his ceiling in WWE? Do you see it being a heel version of Cody, where he's a main eventer right away? Do you think they will ease him in and kind of get the WWE fans used to him? How do you think they would go about it if he ended up going there?
I feel like Triple H knows who his audience is and he knows what they know type stuff. So I don't think there's going to be a need to ease the fans into knowing him. However, I feel like with all potential that it could just lead to a upgraded Miz work. I know that's probably disrespectful to some people. I'm just like, don't hate on the Miz like that, but I just feel like he has Miz calling or Miz leveling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they are pretty similar. How they both are. They both are very good on the mic. I feel like Miz has gotten shit on a lot for his work, and I'm not saying Miz is a five-star wrestler by any means, but I think Miz has had some pretty good matches in his career. Him and Ziggler and him and Cena wasn't too bad, and I could definitely see him, like you said, becoming a Miz-like character in WWE. But I feel like if Triple H is offering him so much money that he would want him to be kind of like Cody in the main event. But we have to see if that ends up happening. So, Keita, what do you think his ceiling is in WWE? Do you think it's a heel Cody? What do you think about it?
I feel I could see them putting him right in the main event, but I do feel that he is like Miz, just the way he acts and everything. So I don't know. Since they offer him that, if they're gonna offer him that much money, I feel they're just gonna put him right in the, squeeze him right in the main event scene.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, it'd be funny if his first feud is against the Miz. That would actually be kind of funny if he
Right.
debuts as a Miz TV
I
segment.
don't.
But
I don't even think I would like that, to be honest. I feel like
yeah,
that would just be a
hmm
little too on the nose.
yeah. I mean, it happened eventually, but doing it right off the bat, nah, it wouldn't really make too much sense.
And plus, who would you even cheer in that situation? That would be
Yeah,
very.
a lot of WWE heads would probably choose Miz because I know how they are with
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, but I don't
And
know, there's a
even if
lot
you
of hardcore
choose
fans.
MJF, you would probably feel bad for like the Miz. It's like, okay, you just put him against a guy who is gonna be cheered no matter what.
Yeah, that'd be a tough spot for Miz. That would really be tough. So let's talk about a lot of moves we've been seeing in wrestling. A lot of finishers from legends have been used. I've been seeing the tombstone pile driver used a lot in matches. Personally, it's been really irritating me because I do not like seeing people kick out of that move like it's nothing. We've seen rock bottoms done. We've seen Kevin Owens doing the stunner. We've seen the spear, the most used finisher in wrestling. So QJ, starting with you, what is your thoughts on using other people's finishers? Do you think that should be the end of the match for sure? I'm not saying everything, but do you think moves like the tombstone or the choke slam or the attitude adjustment or the F5 moves like that should be the end of the match, or do you not have a problem with other wrestlers using it and having opponents kick out of it?
Yeah, here's my say on it. I don't mind wrestlers using other people's finishers, but gotta limit the kickouts on certain moves. Like if it's like a big pay per view, let's say WrestleMania or whatever, like a big pay per view, SummerSlam or whatever, maybe Survivor Series. All right, let them pull out the move, but maybe they could, they could kick out. But if you're doing a tombstone, one of the most, I would say one of the most craziest moves of all time. Like no one, you rarely see no one kick out of that. And now you having these guys just do it regularly, and people kicking out is like, what the hell? Like it just don't make no sense. And I don't know, like, cause if you're gonna use, like, if we were wrestling and you're gonna use my finisher, whatever. I mean, I expect it to be a 1, 2, 3 sometimes. But all right. If it's a big pay per view, all right, they kick out here and there, but like, uh, I don't know. It shouldn't be like that. Like one, if you're gonna pull it out, make sure that be the end of the match. Especially when we saw it from the top. I think we just saw Avalanche, Tombstone.
Yeah, Sammy and
Yeah,
MJF during their match.
and that was ridiculous. So like, you just gotta, I don't know. They just gotta. I feel AEW they gotta limit the kickouts, certain moves, and I think I think they'll be all right. Other than that, yeah, just leave it as that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said. It's like what Tier said. Is some of this stuff needed during a match? Like, yeah, the Tombstone, one of the greatest wrestling finishes of all time. Is it needed in these matches? Is it just you guys doing it because you're not in WWE where they don't let other people do it? So you're like, okay, I'm gonna do the Tombstone because I think I'm a badass and can do the Tombstone. But like when Moxley and MJF, Moxley and MJF are doing a Tombstone on the apron, to me that shouldn't even be. That should be the end of the match right then. You're doing a Tombstone pile driver on the apron. I mean, people didn't kick out of that move when Undertaker did it normally. You're telling me you can kick out of a top rope one or one on the apron? Like, come on, that don't really make sense. But here's what's your thoughts on this?
So there's a lot of ways that this can go. Like if you do like a finisher as a regular move, like let's say the stunner, for example. If somebody's like, for an example, picking you up and then all of a sudden you do a stunner, like you would expect that to be the end of the match. But I think that's what we're used to. I I think that it depends on the person that's doing it. Like say in your repertoire, like how the stunner is the finisher now for Kevin Owens. Well, then it needs to be the finisher. It needs to be set like that. However, if you're a wrestler like I don't know anybody as an example. We'll just say Bob right now for an example. If one of your normal like five moves that you do is like a stunner, but it's not really a finisher, it's more just like a pop moment. I think that's okay as long as the crowd knows you're not going to end the match with this. If you're trying to win the match with like a stunner, then yeah, I would get the issue. And the tombstone, yeah, that needs to be a protected move because it's a pile driver. However, I think that's another example of us being like used to it being like the match ender as well. Because in my mindset, like when you mentioned the chokeslam, nobody's gonna end the match with a chokeslam unless like that's your finisher or signature. Like if you're a big dude, also. Tombstone, I wish it was used as a finisher more. However, I can picture like the Young Bucks when they do a Tombstone. There's no way that's ending the match because it's not believable with them also. So I think it really depends on if it's a believable finish on the person as well.
Well, here's my take on it. If I'm MJF and Moxley, is it even necessary? I mean, y'all have all these moves y'all could be. Is it even necessary to even? Because I know that in their minds they're paying tribute to Undertaker and Kane. I get it's a tribute, but like, I just feel like it's just kind of ruining the move. Because I mean, guys are just doing it just to do it. It's not even like a finish to them. They're just doing it in the middle of the match and just like, okay, let's screw it. Let's just do a top rope tombstone in the middle of a match. Like, why not? Like to me, it just don't really feel needed in these matches. They're just doing it because they think it's cool to do a tombstone. Like, I don't know. To me, that's how it seems like with some of it.
And I get that. Like, is the spot needed? Absolutely not. You did not need to do the spot. However, I would say, like, was it needed for it to be a tombstone? No. Is as needed as it was to be a Canadian destroyer, though. The spot is not needed whatsoever, but I don't think, like, the moves that they chose for it to be, it would be the worst choice. Because, like I said, if it was a top rope Canadian destroyer, would that have made it any better?
Definitely not.
Exactly. I think they went with, like, a decent move to use at that specific moment. Whether that moment was needed or not, I'm leaning towards no, but I could see somebody trying to make the argument that it was. But, like I said, I don't see MJF ever winning a match with a pile driver unless it's the Salty Earth.
Yeah, definitely not.
And even then, I guess somebody can make the argument like he does do a pile driver as a finish. Why don't you believe it like that?
Adam Cole move, yeah.
Yeah,
Not
but it's
Adam
just
Cole
like
move, but like I forgot what it's called. But it's a move Adam Cole does. I forgot what it's called.
it's not the Pamela Sunrise. I was about to say that, but I know wasn't that.
It's like a
But
version of it, but it's like when they're on the rope and he does it. I forgot what it's called.
and that also goes with it. Like there's so many different variants of the same type of moves. Like you even have like with a choke slam, Damian Priest's sit out choke slam. That's a choke slam still, but you don't see him winning matches with that move either.
No.
Right. So I can see where people said like they want that move protected, but you gotta realize that if this person does it, it's not going to end the match for them. It'll end the match if it was like somebody else, like the DDT. The DDT we're so used to seeing now, but back then, it was the most devastating move in wrestling because of Jake Roberts.
I get what you're saying. Certain moves are done kind of just in the moment or not really an ending for them.
Well, let me ask y'all this then. Did y'all have a problem when Cena versus Rusev when he added that springboard stunner to his arsenal? When he did it that one time, you think Rusev should have kicked out of that? And do you think why you think Stoker has a problem with Cena doing the springboard and he told him to stop doing it?
Tiz, you can go first if you want.
I would say like the fact like
Mhm.
Cena ended the match with that would be an issue. I can definitely see that because like all of a sudden he dropped it because Stone Cold asked him to, which that's fine. I will say I don't know if Stone Cold should have taken it to heart like that. I don't know if he did or not. That's a mild debate right there. But it's just the fact like once again the move doesn't fit Cena either. Like once again, like if it's believable, the springboard stunner was not believable for Cena to end matches, and the fact that it was on Rusev too
Mhm.
did not help.
Yeah, I definitely agree that Cena ending the match with the stunner wouldn't really make sense. He'd done the AA and the SDF for so long. I appreciate Cena pulling a new move out. I think, unlike Reigns, and this ain't hating on Reigns. Reigns pulls out some new moves, but he added a lot of new moves you never really seen him do. So it's good. I mean, you don't really see a lot of people do a springboard stunner. So it's definitely something unique, and it was cool he did it. I guess
The fact
it
that
just
he just
depends.
dropped it too.
Yeah. Uh, That's a respect thing definitely between him and Stone Cold. I mean, I know Kevin Owens asked Stone Cold if he could use the stunner, and KO does it as his finisher. I still personally like it when KO did the pop-up power bomb. He
Pop
still
up power
does it.
bomb.
Yeah, he still does it occasionally, but stunner's more of his finisher. But guess it just depends how you look at it. Because I know Stone Cold thinks when he did the stunner, it pretty much knocked people the hell out, which it did.
Mm-hmm.
And but the springboard isn't really doing to me as much impact as a normal stunner because Cena's coming off the rope and he didn't really get high off the ground on the rope. So I mean, it was doing impact, but it wasn't like a Kevin Owens stunner. So I guess it just depends how Stone Cold looks at it. I mean, I would have kept letting Cena do it just because it's not his version of the stunner. And I mean, you see guys like Cody do the Cody cutter, and I mean, different versions of the RKO off the springboard, and guys kick
Mm-hmm.
out. So I mean, I guess it just depends how you look at it with that. But QD, what about you? Did you like Cena doing that, or did you think he should not even attempted?
Personally, I didn't mind it. It's just, I mean, I get because usually when he did it, a lot of people were kicking out of it. I felt he should have, when he does it, follow up with his AA after that, and then that's a 1, 2, 3. So kind of add a combination move right after that when you
Yeah, that
do
would
it.
have made it a lot better if you would have done something like that. Definitely.
So what you're saying is like it shouldn't have been the definitive match ender.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some wrestlers do that. Like, didn't Bobby Roode do like, he did a spine bust or anything like glorious DDT afterwards and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Like, yeah, I see a lot of guys do combos and stuff. Yeah, that would have made more sense than just, doing a springboard and having them kick out. And then, yeah, I could definitely see. I see both sides of it. I see why people are upset, and I see why people didn't mind it. It's kind of a 50-50 card.
And plus, if you're trying to protect a move like the sweet chin music, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be able to do that considering a super kick is seen as just a simple move to do. So how can you protect the sweet chin music unless it's a ender for people like Shawn Michaels?
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, because Ziggler does a super kick, the Usos do a super kick, Carmella does a super kick, Kevin Owens does a super kick. The list goes on and on. I mean, you see it all the time now. It's kind of just a normal thing.
And plus, how in the world do you protect the WMD, the Big Show knockout punch?
Yeah,
Are you gonna just stop people from doing a punch in general?
nah.
Like,
Big Show
there's no
literally
way
used
you
to
could
win
protect
matches doing it.
finishers.
Nah. It just depends what the move is to me. Like a tombstone to me just feels like it should always be a match ender, unless it's at like a big time pay-per-view like WrestleMania or something. But this just
Like,
depends
I
on the
Mm-hmm.
think
extent of the move.
I think the Tombstone has officially fallen on the category to where like it's now a generic wrestling move, whereas you don't see people doing like the pedigree or the F5 like that. You see Wardlow's F10, but that's more of a variant of an F5 instead of like the definitive F5. But you also don't see people doing like the sharpshooter or the scorpion death drop. You see reverse DDTs, but not a scorpion death drop.
Nah.
So I think, unfortunately for most people, the Tombstone has fallen under the category of this is just insert stall for time move, which is sad, but it's a
Yeah.
factor that it needs to be addressed.
Do you throw the pedigree in there too? Because he's been doing the pedigree a lot
Doing
more,
it a
and that
lot.
ain't really an ender. Yeah, like he did it to Lashley, and it wasn't the end. Do you mind people kicking out of that move, or do you compare it?
I, you see, here's the thing about that. Rollins was somewhat had that as a finisher for several years, so that's a move that he is familiar with him also. It wasn't at first because I will be one of those people who says like he did a really bad pedigree, but it's still a move that in WWE people are familiar with him doing. It's weird that it became a signature now, but it's still a memorable move. It's like the RKO now for Riddle. People are now familiar with Riddle doing the RKO, so there's also that argument as well. Like, are you, so I can't do an example right now because I can't think of one. I would have to say like I'm fine with Rollins doing the pedigree, like I'm fine with Riddle doing the RKO. It is a familiar move for them now because what the legacy of the move has for them, and the fact that they have a tie-in with the person doing it.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, like a tie-in thing instead of just doing the move, just do it. I definitely agree more with that. Like being a more realistic scenario for it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about WWE. Triple H taken over. It's been about 4 months since he took over. It's been recently news about him removing pay-per-views like Hell in a Cell, TLC, Extreme Rules, pay-per-views like that. And Tears, I'll start with you. Are you a fan of that? Do you think they should put Money in the Bank, and Money in the Bank, throw that in there too? Do you think they should put that on WrestleMania like they used to? And Hell in a Cell, for example, they're putting that rumored to be on the Royal Rumble card. Do you mind stuff like that, or do you think that they should just keep it a once in a year thing for the pay-per-views?
I'm actually perfectly fine with removing the pay-per-view name or the match name pay-per-views because it makes it feel more genuine. Like when you think of Money in the Bank, you think of all your favorite highlights, you think of all your favorite spots. You got a spot in your mind? You got your favorite Money in the Bank match in your mind? Can you
Uh,
tell me? Can you tell me what pay-per-view was that on?
Most of it's WrestleMania. Like when Shelton jumped off the ladder, or when Punk won a few of them, or stuff like that. Yeah, most
Yeah,
of them ain't really got
WrestleMania.
Money in the Bank. Yeah.
Hmm.
When you think of Money in the Bank, it is became a thing to where like you think of all the big moments at WrestleMania, and when you think of your top favorite Hell in a Cell matches, you don't really think of the ones that are just being forced to be at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. And TLC also, I feel like the matches that aren't being forced because of the pay-per-view are the ones that do matter the most. So I am perfectly fine with getting rid of like the theme pay-per-views. I don't know what that means for Elimination Chamber. I don't know if it's going to be changed to No Way Out or even if they're keeping Elimination Chamber.
I think they're
But
keeping it.
that would make sense considering No Way Out was also kind of a theme pay-per-view esque.
Yeah. I think, not to interrupt you, but I think Triple H said, like with War Games and stuff like that, it depends on if it's appropriate for that year. Like this year, he felt like War Games was appropriate with the Bloodline and the Brawl and Bruce and them. So I'm assuming Elimination Chamber is probably going to be in the same category if it's appropriate for that story. Go ahead.
Okay, but yeah, if that's the case, then I'm perfectly fine with removing pay-per-view themes or match theme pay-per-views. No, nowhere else to go with that because, like I just mentioned for you guys to guess too, all my favorite like TLCs are part of pay-per-views that were not TLC themed. Same with Hell in the Cells. Same with Money in the Banks. Same with Fatal Four Way. Anybody remember Fatal Four
Yeah,
Way?
that was terrible.
Hmm.
It's like Vince just says, I'm gonna make every single match type of pay-per-view.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Ever since that pay-per-view happened, I was expecting a triple threat pay-per-view
He probably
or
thought of it. No offense. A
or
1v1 pay-per-view where it's all 1v1 matches.
Extreme. Well, oh wait, no, we did get Extreme Rules. I think is Extreme Rules staying or is that going too? I'm sure it
Uh,
should go, in my
it
opinion.
probably will go, but that might be something he keeps. I guess it just depends what he feels like doing.
I feel like if he keeps the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, it should be more vibrant in match quality or match choices. Like the whole pay-per-view may be called Extreme Rules, but that's because like this pay-per-view, it's going to be tables, ladders, not chairs, because I'm not doing that shtick.
Table ladders, chairs, and stairs.
Kendo stick, steel cage. I could consider steel cage falling under Extreme Rules category.
Yeah, he
Get the
did.
table.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
Bailey's.
Yeah. Some no holds bar, backstage brawls. We could even bring back the barroom brawl match. Anybody remember that?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Hmm.
That was the embodiment of a cluster I've ever seen, and it was enjoyable too.
Yeah,
Just
it was
20
definitely
random
something.
people fighting in a bar theme fight, and just seeing who's the last one standing, and boom, there's your hardcore champion.
Yeah, that was
I will
pretty
never for,
funny.
I will never forget Jerry Lawler hitting, I think it was Taz, with the beam jar, with the gummy bean jar.
Yeah, I remember that. That was some good times back in the hardcore wrestling days.
If you want to call him that, sure.
Yeah, Extreme Rules did happen recently, and he was pretty much doing what you Triple H pretty much did what you said. He had a lot of different match types on the card. He had an I Quit match, Extreme Rules. I think Belair and Bailey was in a ladder match. So yeah, he's trying to do a lot of different match types. He's not trying to be like Vince and go, okay, it's gonna be normal matches and Extreme Rules all over the place. Like, it's good that he was doing that. But
That's a good sign.
yeah, it's always good. So QJ, what's your thoughts on Triple H removing the themed pay-per-views?
My thoughts on it is a very good idea because if I was in his position, would have did the same thing. I feel like these matches, like whatever pay per view we doing, all right, this pay per view I'm gonna do this, but make it pretty much mean something. Like, no, that's gonna be the end of that rivalry or something like that. I feel that should be like an end of a rivalry type of match. Like, you gonna put them in the Hell in a Cell? I'm gonna go 30, 35 minutes. If you get 40, you get 40. So let that be the end. And same with TLC, same with all the others. Like, that's how you make a match type more memorable, not just putting it just as a title on the pay per view. Just don't make sense. So I'm glad he's getting rid of that, and uh, hopefully we will be seeing more better quality matches. And we know when those matches happen on a different type of pay per view, we will be satisfied, and we know it's going to live up to the hype.
I do also want to point out like an example of a bad match that was only there just for the theme of the pay-per-view. Let's all not forget Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton Hell in a Cell. That served no purpose, but yet they made a Hell in a Cell because the pay-per-view was Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, stuff like that just feels
Mm-hmm.
unnecessary. It definitely should be like a big time feud. Like it's been rumored Balor and Edge might be facing off in Hell in a Cell, which would make sense because they just faced off an I Quit match.
Well, let them go 30, and that's it. End of the day.
Yeah, because their I Quit match was about 40 minutes, so yeah, might as well let them go Hell in a Cell, end the feud, and go from there. So yeah, I definitely agree
I'm
with you.
scared to think
Good
what
thing.
they want to do.
Yeah, probably something crazy because Edge's matches are always long. He's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much like you described with Triple H, how his matches are always the longest on the card. That's definitely Edge now because every match he has seems like it's 25 to 30 minutes. So let's talk about 2023. It's going to be a big year for some wrestlers. There's always new wrestlers who get an opportunity or have a big year. Maybe they continue off their year this year. So, Chiz, I'm going to start with you. Who is one male and one female wrestler from any company that you see having a big 2023?
I'm going to keep this simple because both mine are in WWE right now. So for male, this might not be the biggest shocker in the world, but I'm gonna have to give it to where like I think it's gonna be Austin Theory who's gonna be doing good in the males department. I know a lot of people say like now that Triple H is in charge, Theory's career is practically over. I'm just like I
He just
don't
won the
think
U.S. title. That's
yeah, like
the
I'm just
match.
like I don't think I subscribe to that idea. I think Theory is now instead of just being like, oh, he's just instantly put in this top spot. We're like, no, we're gonna have you work your way up there, but we're gonna have it to be like it's a fluent motion. So I think Theory could potentially be top guy next year. That is just I'm not gonna do. I was about to do this. It's not a theory. It's a insert corny joke here, and I refuse because his name is Austin Theory. Anyway, my female pick would have to be. This might be a little too early or a little too on the nose, but I'm actually gonna say Liv Morgan for the female choice because I feel like this was her title run was actually a pretty good prototype to see how she would do in the main roster. And I feel like she could, she won the title. She did decent with it. She didn't get to keep it long. However, it seems like the crowd showed that they were into the idea of her being champion, and that would lead to us potentially getting her champion again. Who knows how many times or who knows how long? But I think Liv proved that she can be a main eventer when WWE's ready for her to be.
I definitely like those two picks. I mean, everybody was pissed off when Theory lost his cash in, and I mean, I was included. I was like, what the hell is Triple H doing? But I mean, I gotta ask every fan. I mean, do you see him actually pinning Roman Reigns right now? I mean, personally, I don't. And I mean, that's not a knock on Theory. There's a lot of people that you can't see pinning Roman Reigns right now, but I just feel like Triple H, at the end of the day, it wasn't his pick to make Theory Money in the Bank. I liked him winning, but I feel like Vince kind of did what he did with Reigns and rushed Theory a little bit. I feel like he kind of made him kind of geeky and the Tyler Breeze gimmick, and now Triple H is kind of making him more serious, and I'm just gonna kick out by his ass, and I'm mad because I lost my cash in. Screw everybody. I'm not a kid no more. I'm a man and all that. I really like what they're doing with Theory and
Right.
Liv. I
And
think
plus
she's
with
still. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and plus with Theory winning the Money in the Bank, like I'm kind of okay with Triple H making him lose his cash in due to the fact too where it's just like there was no other way for him to get that briefcase on him. I'm glad he lost it rather than we're just gonna have somebody else win the briefcase again. Because I still remember that last year, and it was not fun. I don't like when somebody wins the Money in the Bank briefcase and then put it up for grabs in a match, and then somebody else wins that. I hate that more than somebody losing their cash in. So
Yeah.
him losing the reins, I'm honestly fine with because I can understand like the plan needed him to not be Mr. Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, the Theory, he'll be fine. He's only, what, 25, 24. He's got a hell of a career ahead
I,
of him.
I feel bad because now I'm 25.
Yeah, Theory, he'll be fine. And Liv, I think Triple H signed her NXT. I'm sure he's a big fan of Liv. Like you said, probably next year. Right now, they have the WrestleMania plans. They I heard they're going to do Becky and Ronda and Belair and either Charlotte Ripley. So right now, there's not really a place for Liv. But I do think eventually she'll get another opportunity. So QJ, what about you? Who's your male and female wrestlers that you think will have a big 2023?
But now I'm gonna have to go with Cody Rhodes. So when he gets back, I want him to really, have a little long reign and to get to that level. I want him to accomplish the dreams, put on his good matches, show why he deserves to be there. And for my female, I have to give it to Rhea Ripley. Want to have a moment. Uh, I just like her attitude where it is right now. So whoever she faces, whatever, hopefully he'll give her that big push she needs to be that. I feel she should hold the title for a year or something and go from there.
Yeah, both of you guys had very good top male and female wrestlers y'all think could have a big year. I mean, there's really no wrong answer for this, especially when there's a lot of
Until a year
opportunities
from
out there.
now.
Exactly. And I mean, there's just a lot of opportunity out there in both these companies. And for me, I went Walter or Gunther, whatever you want to call him, for my male because I know Triple H is a huge fan of Gunther. We saw it in NXT with his UK title. I did read a report that WWE wants him to be like one of the top guys for the next decade. So I mean, Triple H is really a big fan of Gunther, and I've heard he might be facing Cena at Mania. I heard he might be facing Brock. Him and Drew as a match has been talked about. They've really been wanting to face off. So there's a lot of options for Gunther. I don't know who's going to beat him for the IC title, but he's just had fantastic matches this year, and I think next year's going to be no different. So I went Gunther. And for my women, I went Jamie Hayter. A lot of people are huge fans of Jamie Hayter. She just beat Toni Storm for the AEW Women's title. I think her and Britt Baker are going to go into a big time feud and have probably the best women's feud of the year next year. So I see a lot of big things on the horizon for Jamie Hayter. So for the final topic, we're going to talk about one of the most controversial wrestlers, if not the most controversial wrestler in the business right now, CM Punk. We all know what went on. Him and the Elite, Omega and the Young Bucks got into a backstage brawl. Ace Steel was there. His dog Larry was there. Ace Steel's wife was there. Apparently Omega got bit on the arm. Larry got his front teeth knocked out or something like that. A lot went on. And Punk had a press conference. He was trashing Hangman, calling the VIPs of AEW children. We all know Punk ain't afraid to express his opinion on anything. It's been rumored that him and AEW are moving towards a buyout. There's been some speculation with the Young Bucks mocking Punk and Omega mocking Punk that this might be all a work, or they might agree to work together and Punk will return to AEW. So, Tiz, I'll start with you. What do you think's next for CM Punk? Do you think he could eventually end up returning to AEW, or do you see him being done with wrestling, or do you see him possibly mending things with Triple H and going back to WWE?
I do not see him winning anything with Triple H. I'm gonna have to say that right now. For those who are thinking like this is a chance for him to come back to WWE, not a single chance in my opinion. I think if anything, he's had more problems with Triple H than Vince. So I don't see Triple H being in charge is gonna change anything. With it being a work between the Elite and Punk, I could potentially see that because the Elite are, in my opinion, they know how to make anything look like a work, even if it could be a shoot, and know who to bring in to make it even more of a work. I'm not sure this one is. If it's real, I can believe it. If it's fake, I'll be surprised. There is that. I don't think personally he is coming back to AEW. I think this is just too much of a bad case scenario to be fake. And even if it's real, I think too many people are going to be kind of irritated too much to even care enough for it. So, is Punk done with wrestling after this? Maybe. I mean, you got. I can't really think of his age considering all the other wrestlers out
I think
there.
he's 45, if I'm not mistaken. Mid 40s for sure.
I mean, he could be done. He's made enough money to where like he could be done with it all. Um, I think if this is real and the buyout goes through, I truly think he is done with wrestling. And if it's a work, I don't know how getting the entire elite versus you leads to a match. Like, are you feuding with Kenny? Are you feuding with Hangman? Like, I don't know where this leads because if it's leading to Hangman and the elite fighting Punk, who is on Punk's side to help him in this situation? There's
To
nobody.
jump in real quick,
Yeah, like there's. Oh, go ahead.
FTR, it has been, I don't know anything about this. I've heard that FTR really are good friends with Punk, and if this ends up being where it could be Omega and the Bucks against FTR and Punk. But go ahead and continue.
Okay, well, then that took away my argument to where like who would be even on Punk's side if it was like the Elite and Hangman. I guess like they could find a fourth person to help Punk and FTR if it's a work, but I'm leaning towards it being real. If it's a work, well, you know what, it's good. It's good work, but I think he's done with wrestling if the buyout happens.
Yeah, I mean, I know Triple H said in the Zoom, he's like, "Oh, we're open for anything, never say never," all that stuff. I mean, what's he gonna say? I mean, it's business. And I mean, maybe he sits down with Punk or calls Punk. And I mean, Triple H is all about business at the end of the day. Whatever he knows, Punk's money, and people will watch to see him. Punk's maybe they end up making up, and Triple H says, "Listen, I'm in charge now. Vince ain't gonna be putting you in no garbage shit." I don't know, but I can
Yeah,
see
but
Punk being done. I mean, he's made enough money. I mean, I can see it going either way with it, with him returning.
you also gotta add, Punk is a pretty petty individual, unfortunately, as well. I don't think no matter what he's gonna like Triple H. And I saw a clip that somebody mentioned, like it wasn't like them putting their input on it. It was just like where everything that Triple H said when he had the face to face with Punk, and then they look at it nowadays. A lot of people pointed out to where like this was in 2011. This was when Triple H just came back wearing the suit, and him and Punk were getting ready for their I think it was Night of Champions match. It, everything that Triple H said to Punk turned out to be accurate with how things are being treated nowadays. So I think there is no way that Punk is going to even listen to a deal by Triple H of all people. Even if Triple H wants there to be work, I don't think Punk is that type of person to where like, okay, I'll listen. I'm not gonna like you, but I'm gonna listen. I feel like Punk is just too full of himself on this one.
Yeah, I can see that side of it too. I mean, I know there's a lot of fans who say, "Well, he returned to WWE backstage." WWE backstage wasn't WWE. That was Fox. Fox was running WWE backstage, not WWE. So I know a lot of fans get that confused. They think, "Well, he returned to WWE backstage. He was already back in WWE." That wasn't WWE. That was a show about WWE, but that wasn't WWE or bringing him back. Vince did not want to bring him back at all.
And plus, how long did that last?
Not very long, about it, maybe 5 months, and now they're all in AEW, the whole backstage crew, which is funny. I see a lot of memes about that. But QJ, what is your thoughts on CM Punk? What do you think of this whole situation? Do you see him returning to WWE, staying in AEW, calling it quits? What do you see happening?
Well, CM Punk, this is what I respect him. He, he he'll tell it as it is to your face. He don't like you, he don't like you. He'll just tell it as it is. He'll bash. He'll do whatever he do. And some people like him for that attitude. So that's just the type of person he is. And I don't know. I don't know. I feel he probably should just wrestle one more match and call it quits after that. Uh, I mean, he's done enough. Like you say, has enough money. I mean, I think he's done everything he needed to do. I mean, people may not like him backstage, so be it. I mean, is what it is. I mean, you don't want a man, get rid of him. That's how I think of it.
Yeah, I mean, Punk, like you said, is not afraid to speak his mind. I mean, a pipe bomb, even though it was scripted, part of him was saying some true stuff in it. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to Punk. I mean, if he wants to go back to WWE, which is unlikely, the offer's there. If he wants to return to AEW, it's probably slim. I mean, those are really his only two options in wrestling. Impact's not gonna have enough money to pay him. None of the other company. I mean, maybe New Japan, he could get a deal there, but I don't know if he'll want to go to Japan and do anything there. There
I
have
don't
been
think they would
reports.
want to.
Oh, go ahead, too.
I don't think they'll want to deal with him either because they seem to be the type of company. Like for low key, for example, they will not work with certain people. Like if you have a bad work ethic, you can be banned from them permanently. Like, I think they perma banned low key and Brock Lesnar because of certain reasons. I can't remember what they
You said
were.
permanently?
Yeah, I think Brock Lesnar was for taking their world title and going to the UFC. They were not happy about that, and Loki because he did not want to work at Hiroshima,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they got permanently banned from ever working in New Japan.
Wow. Did I know that? That's a.
Think that was think that was a great right decision from him.
The Brock Lesnar one I can see because it's a
Mm-hmm.
very honor system type stuff, and with Loki, that's a debate. But I can understand why he didn't want to wrestle there because that was a place that got nuked 2 times. So he didn't want to
Right.
he didn't want to risk radiation from that. So that's another debate right there. But I don't think they'll work with him. If they do, it's not going to be for long because I think Punk's attitude they're going to find it's way too disrespectful towards them.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't put up with that. So, yeah, Punk, I mean, what is. I mean, there's reports. There's tons of reports, but you don't know what to believe. Meltzer, I mean, I like Meltzer, but he don't always give right information. And, I mean, sometimes the media gets swerved. I mean, I've heard he has an itch still to wrestle. I mean, I heard him come back to AEW kind of brought back his drive to want to be a wrestler. I don't know if that's a false report, but that's been put out there. I just don't know what really Punk will do if he does return to WWE. I mean, who's he going to face? Reigns? I mean, I just don't know what the incentive
Cody,
is for him returning.
Theory?
That could be something. I mean,
Could be.
I just don't see Punk needing money. I mean, WWE, that's all they can offer him is money. I mean, yeah, he'll work, but I
That's
mean,
it.
I don't know. Personally, I just don't think he's going to wrestle again. Could be wrong. He could pop up at the Royal Rumble for all we know. I don't know, but we'll see in a few months what Punk ends up doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed the second episode. We went through a lot of topics, different things. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below. We will see you next time.
Let us know what your opinions are on these topics as well.
Right. What do you think?